This video is going to be about the connection that I will be making between alien abductions and that of fantasy proneness, which will be further connected to the nature of reality. It is not going to be argued that fantasy proneness is the cause of alien encounters, but just the opposite. Something has been visiting people when they were children, whatever it is, and would traumatize them as a result, which can cause fantasy proneness to develop as documented in the fields of psychiatry. Fantasy proneness, also known as fantasy prone personalities, is a personality trait in which a person is consumed with fantasy. They cannot separate their fantasies from reality and can have imaginary friends in childhood. They can also have an actual fantasy identity, hypnagogic hallucinations, hypnopompic hallucinations, out-of-body experiences, and other paranormal encounters. They are known to be extremely hypnotizable. Abduction experiences feature buzzing or humming noises and paralysis. This all features in hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations, which is connected to sleep paralysis and fantasy-prone personality. Trauma is also in most of the accounts of abductions. According to Mack, most abductees that he interviewed were known to be dissociative as a result of their trauma caused by these profound experiences. Mack even reported how most of his patients who had abductions were able to easily be put under an altered state to be hypnotized to remember some of their experiences. All of this is affiliated with fantasy-prone personalities. Colin, one of Mack's patients when he was 2.5 years old, has had fantasy-prone characteristics like seeing imaginary owls with big black eyes float down from the sky. Owls happen to be one of the common screen memory images that hide the alien entities known as the Greys. Colin later on claimed that he had an alligator puppet who would like to bite, and that his name was Tiger. Children under fantasy proneness were known to believe that their puppets were alive. Colin would then ask his mom why alligators that he called tigers would get her, which hints of the Greys or maybe other entities being camouflage. Colin would then replace the owls with the big eyes with that of the alligators, which reminds me of fantasy-prone people who would often confuse or mix their fantasies with their real memories. Colin then once went and climbed into his parents' bed and pointed to the ceiling and asked them what that big boat in the sky was that he was seeing. Colin's family happened to have had encounters with the Grey ETs. His mother said that on one occasion she sensed a presence with her that she could not see that she felt sitting on her bed. She even had several out-of-body experiences as well. These experiences of hers and of her son Colin is all suggestive of fantasy-prone people. Abductees even state that they have a dual alien human identity, and even that their past life was that of an alien from a different world, either another planet or dimension. This might be a trait of fantasy-prone personalities because people with this condition can report having a different identity. Something is definitely causing fantasy-prone personalities in abductees, something that might be otherworldly. For example, family members, friends, and others have seen UFOs in the community of where the abductee lives. The abductee even has physical markings on their bodies like scoop marks, scars, cuts, and small ulcers that usually heal rapidly. The experiencer is even reported to be missing by family members during their abduction in some cases. Implants have even been removed from their bodies. Besides the UFO alien experience causing fantasy-prone personality in abductees, this intelligence, whether extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or terrestrial, and I believe this intelligence to be possibly all of them, can, at times, induce fantasies into the minds of the abducted. A woman named Adrena, for example, was in a dreamy state when the entities floated her into the UFO. Another woman who had ghost encounters would sometimes build up these experiences and embellish them from portraits and even told of imaginative past lives based off of the portraits that she viewed. When she would become mesmerized at the eyes of the portraits, they would take on a living vibrancy and fill out into a three-dimensional form. All these experiences are indicative of fantasy-prone personalities. This same woman has also had UFO and abduction experiences. On one occasion, she went on a ski trip, and in the hotel room at night, she awoke and got up out of her bed and saw materialized out of nowhere in the room her boyfriend. She was sharing the room with a skiing friend who only saw a figure with no features, a silhouette, and who then strangely went back to sleep. After her friend went back to sleep, she then saw her boyfriend morph into several alien beings. This whole experience that she and her friend witnessed was a bizarre one. The best explanation for this paradoxical experience is that one of them, maybe both, is induced into a dreamy state that abductees are put under when they're being taken. And that's how she might have been able to see the entity disguised as her boyfriend, while her friend at the same time only saw the entity as a shadow figure with no features that sound like the shadow people phenomenon. One of John Mack's patients, named Eva, was possessed by these entities, and through her they told Mack that the UFOs appeared to have an inside and an outside, that they have boundaries, but they really do not have any of these, and that within the objects there are energies and colors that truly do not exist. These beings even said to Mack that the UFO phenomenon is both existing and not existing at the same time. An entity named Seth, through a channeler named Jane Roberts, has made very similar claims concerning how some UFOs and their occupants are a partially projected fantasy and cannot enter our plane of reality because their physical makeup is different from ours, and that distortions must take place for contact to happen. And as a result, we are given sensory data, which means that the contact is already distorted to a certain degree. The UFOs that are perceived are our interpretation of the event that is actually occurring. This was said way back in 1971, before UFO researchers like Jenny Randles and others have noted the distortions of reality that accompany many UFOs and abductions. John Mack has even come to the conclusion, based off of his studies of this phenomenon, that there needs to be a collapse of our views of the separation of the psyche and that of reality. If the UFO occupants can project matrix-like realities into the heads of abductees, then the question must be asked, can they control everyone's perceptions of reality? The answer is probably. There is proof in the abduction literature that these entities can control our senses and memories. Increasing numbers of scientists are of the opinion that reality is a simulation, a generated dream. They base this off of cosmic rays in space whose energy level is defined, specific, and constrained, as if by an outside force, and they believe that this could reflect the entire universe as a whole. There is ripples of evidence in reality, and as was mentioned, in the universe, that suggests that we might be living in the Matrix. Dreams, mutual ones that is, where two or more people interact with each other in the same dream environment with possible dream characters involved, offers a clue that we might live in a matrix. Dream laboratories have shown that a sleeper's dreams can be influenced by thoughts projected by someone nearby. Imagine a group of people sleeping and having their dreams influenced by an awake individual if they're open to manipulation. Hypnosis can do something similar. The hypnotizer can put someone who is open under a trance-like state and can verbally suggest a simulated reality to them. Folie à deux, a psychotic disorder in which two people, sometimes more, can share the same delusions, and this suggests, along with mutual dreams and hypnosis, that if groups of people can be programmed to live in an artificial simulated reality, then why not the whole human race as well? I am of the strong opinion that the universe is alive and intelligent, that can control the realities of the only thing that is real, our consciousness. This universe of intelligence can possibly create artificial matrix-type realities of some of, or all of, the UFO phenomenon into our heads as a way of communicating with us. The UFO ET phenomenon, in return, can also create artificial matrix-type realities, directly and indirectly, into our minds. This would suggest a dream within a dream. In a future video, I will get into much more detail of the Matrix and how it is very likely that we live in one.